I have made art when I am in shambles, and I think that art is the most beautiful I've made. I believe it's really easy to say that you can actually understand an artist, but you will never understand an artist or its purpose, the intention in which they make art. And most of the tension is self intention because we are a little bit selfish. We don't want other people to understand our heads but ourselves. And sometimes not even us can understand ourselves. So we go to art. We try to express something that is inside our heads and it's impossible to explain to someone else. And that is a little bit selfish because you're not creating something for others but yourself. And you're also not helping anybody, you know? Yes, you can create an art piece and someone can feel like identified and they can put their own meaning on things. Yeah, that can totally happen. But you don't do it with that purpose. You do it with the purpose of saving yourself. And saving yourself through art is selfish, but you can't blame it. A lot of things in this world are selfish, and the most beautiful art has come from pain, from intrigue, you could say, from these thoughts, dark thoughts, really happy thoughts that you can't put into words, and you prefer to paint, you prefer to write, you prefer to create beats, you know, you prefer just to exist, to perform. And art will always be performative because you are putting yourself out there in another way, in a way that's acted almost like another representation of yourself. And I love that. I love that for me. I love that for the artists. I love that there's people that can afford to buy original pieces from artists. And yes, it's something that, it makes you think about the world and existence because, yes, we're living in a world that we don't know everything about. We don't know why we're here. We don't know why we exist. How we exist in the first place if we are by ourselves. Do other living creatures in the universe make art? That is the question, And why do we feel so many things? Why do our consciousness can't be absolutely destroyed? And where do we go after life? Where does our art go after life? And these are questions that I've been asking myself the whole time because being an artist make me think about what can I do? What can I do that's useful to society? Because yes, again, why am I saying yes so much? But whatever. I live in a third world country and you can't live from art here. Like you can, but if you're really known, you can. And if you're not known, it's really hard. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be an artist in the third world. And it's because we are in survive mode most of the time. You're like trying to pay bills, trying to get food for your family, for you, healthcare and everything. So the little to no amount of money that you get, you spend it on things that are necessary to survive. But you don't spend it on art. It's hard to spend it on art. And I believe art can be something creative for luxurious lives. You have the money to spend it on art, whatever. I love art. I spend my money on art, the money that I don't have because I don't work. But it makes you think about it. It makes you think about how many times am I going to be able to afford a piece that I'm in love with? And why am I buying it for? Am I buying it for me? Am I buying it for the beauty? Because it makes me feel some type of way? I've seen a lot of interviews of artists buying art pieces, specifically paintings, and they're like, every time I see that painting, it reminds me of blah blah blah. And I love that. I love that. But what if the artist didn't make it with that purpose? What if the artist wishes that art wasn't there? You know, what if you buy a painting of, let's say, $10,000 and you put it in your bathroom? And it is not disrespecting the artist at all, because you can do whatever you want if you buy an art piece, unless it's like limited, I don't know. But it's interesting if you think that way, because you could spend that money on giving it to other people so they can survive, because we're living in a unpleasant state right now. Like, there's a lot of people that live with $1 a day, and you're spending $10,000 on a painting that you're going to just put on your wall. It's a thing that's not even useful. You like, do you understand this luxurious idea of art? But at the same time, artists use it as escape of their own mind. Like, they're going to go insane if they don't make art, or they are already insane. I believe our art is a little bit crazy already, and they go through things and they make it for their own good. Some people just have it as a career. I personally, it's really hard for me to comprehend that, because I haven't been able to do that. I have a lot of paintings in my room, but I can't sell them. And it's because I have an emotional attachment to them, but it's also because who is going to pay me for my paintings? Are you going to pay me for my paintings? Tell me so I can show you them, and you can tell me how much you are going to pay for them. But they've taken time, you know, and it's effort, and it's a piece of your soul represented. In my case, self-portraits of how I feel, of my emotions, of my confusion. And they're not always like figuratively, how you say, it's not always representing a shape, an emotion in form of a shape. It's always an emotion in strokes, colors, and just what I was thinking while I was painting. And it makes me feel excited at times, it makes me feel sad at times, it makes me feel confused. Sometimes I don't like what I'm painting, and I just leave it there for a very long time and continue it when I feel like it. So I don't know if the creative process of an artist is ever going to be similar to other artists. You can't compare artists. You can say this one is better than the other one because they are creating from different point of views and mindsets and perspectives and lives. And that's the uniqueness of art. Like, you can say someone copied another person's style, like, for example, expressionism. Yeah, there were several like people doing expressionist paintings, but they didn't express the same thing. And that's what's very, very unique about, for example, Vincent van Gogh. He was crazy as hell. He was out of his mind and painting so beautiful, expressive. Like, paintings is just out of this world. And it's so beautiful, yet his mind was fucked up. Like, what do you think about that? I want to know if someone understands my point of view. Like, what do you do with art? And why does art exist in this world? I know it's like a getaway from people to express their feelings, but what do you do if you make so much art and you sell it and you make it for a living? Like, you're suffering for a living? I don't understand. Like, I mean, I understand. I totally understand, but I just get these thoughts and I want to talk to people about it. And I want you guys to ask me questions about this so I can make a video about this, about how I feel about certain things, art related things, and beauty. I don't know, the beauty of paintings is something that I will never be able to control myself. If I see a beautiful painting, like, I'm going to cry. I cry in museums a lot. I believe that one of the last time that I cried was when I was in Mexico with my friends, and we were in a museum, Maya, and there were huge statues. I believe it was like the statue of Mary and Jesus, like holding in their arms. That was the first thing that I cried to, but then we went to like rock sculpted faces and portraits, and these people like making beautiful poses, and they were like people, you know, statues of people, and that was beautiful. Statues are always going to make me cry, I believe, because they're not only an art expression, but the realistic ones are like so soft, like you almost want to like hug the statue. That's how I feel, and I want to cry because they're not people, you know. The statues of people are not people, they're just statues, and they're rock solid. And I wish I had a house to have a lot of statues in my garden. And I don't know, art makes me feel so many type of ways, and I love that. I love to explore what's going on in my mind most of the time, because it's hard to put into words, but sometimes when you think really deep about it, you get to a conclusion eventually, but then you change it the next day because you were like, you know what, I don't think that anymore. I love that. I just love that. Let me be ambiguous. Bye. And please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1K subscribers.